asked Princess Mirafara of the Kingdom of Infaro to dance with me. Miss Luna suddenly rushed over and asked me to dance with her. Until then, I naively thought that Miss Luna was just possessive and did not want me, her new friend, to focus on other friends. You're really stupid, Kuta couldn't help but retort coldly. Perhaps, Perseus shrugged. Then we started dancing and chatting, and I noticed her hostility toward Princess Mellifera, so I asked her why, and I advised her to put aside her prejudices and be friendly with her. At that moment, Lord Kutu suddenly appeared. Kuta nodded. Go on, tell me what happened between you and Luna after I left. Nothing happened, Perseus said. After I returned from that place, my mind was elsewhere, and I didn't pay much attention to Miss Luna. This was certainly not my intention. Please forgive me. Later, after the ball ended, I left in a hurry. I saw Miss Luna again this morning when she came to our class. Then what? Before I continue, please allow me to share my thoughts on Miss Luna at this stage, Perseus said. I'm not trying to win anyone's favor, but simply stating an objective fact. Although I have not had much contact with demi-humans, I have no discrimination or contempt for this group, and have always believed that they are equal beings to us humans. Saying these things in front of me, a demi-human, even if you say you're not trying to gain favor, isn't it no different from flattery? Kuta sneered slightly. Perseus didn't care. So when Miss Luna appeared, I was immediately captivated by her innocent and adorable appearance. Although she sometimes says scary things on purpose because she doesn't want to be looked down upon, isn't that cute too? Kuta couldn't help but smile and nod in agreement. But then he suddenly remembered the current situation, and his expression turned cold again. This is just human nature. It only shows that you are a normal person, he said. Because she is so innocent and cute and also so young. Even if she shows affection for me, I can't possibly associate it with romantic feelings. At most, I think she sees me as her good friend or as an older brother. Kuta nodded again, sighing sincerely. You really can't be blamed for this. What happened today wasn't complicated. I suddenly started a relationship with another equally outstanding girl, which seemed to upset Miss Luna. I didn't realize at the time, but by the time I finally realized something was wrong, At this point, Perseus lowered his head in shame. Kuta was furious, but he really couldn't do anything about this kid. He analyzed everything clearly and comprehensively, and what he said was obviously the truth. Some of it was even based on his own personal experience, so there was no fault in it. What else can we do? My precious daughter likes this guy, but he only treats her as a younger sister or a friend, and he is very polite and doesn't flirt with her. Okay, now that he's in love, his precious daughter is heartbroken and upset on her own. What is he, as her father, supposed to do? Should we give them a good beating? Did they even kill someone? That makes absolutely no sense. Although he wasn't emotionally opposed to doing it, Kuta wasn't that kind of person. If others are unreasonable, he can be 10 times more unreasonable than them. But if others are gentle and polite, he will not act arrogantly or bully others. The matter is now very clear. That kid is right. His precious daughter did nothing wrong either. Blame it on the fact that the falling flowers were willing, but the flowing water was heartless. This is inevitable. Since no one is at fault, no one should have to pay the price. This was the first time Kutu had dealt with something like this, but he managed to handle it. He rubbed his temples and sighed. I'm sorry, kid. I think I misunderstood you. I may have offended you with my words and actions just now. Please don't take offense. Fathers are all so sensitive and impulsive. Please don't say that, Perseus said quickly. So, you came here hoping I'd understand what happened so I wouldn't cause you trouble. Or do you want to meet with Luna and say something to persuade her? Kuta asked calmly. There's a trap hidden here. Neither. Kuta was somewhat surprised that the trap had been avoided. Then tell me, what exactly do you want to do here? Kuta crossed his arms, looking quite intrigued. To be honest, I certainly don't want to be troubled by you, Lord Kutu. I'm afraid there are only 2 people in the entire Western continent who would dare to have such a hope. Forget about flattery. Kuta wasn't buying it. I came here because I really wanted to see Miss Luna, but not to persuade her to give up her feelings for me. Perseus's gaze was frank. Because she did nothing wrong, and I don't dislike her having those feelings for me. Kutu paused, his eyes narrowing involuntarily. You mean you like my daughter too? Yes, Perseus said firmly. He then added, to be more precise, I love her. Huh? Kutu asked blankly. Lord Cthulhu, I love your daughter, Miss Luna. Perseus repeated earnestly. I heard you, I'm not deaf. Cthulhu raised a hand, frowning as he asked. As a father, I'm certainly pleased that my daughter has the affections of a gentleman like you. But what about that young lady? The one you just started dating today? You mean Miss Helen? Whatever her name is, there is such a person. Kutsu frowned even more. What do you plan to do with her? I love her too, Perseus said without hesitation. Kutsu was instantly stunned, looking utterly bewildered. After sorting through the situation for a while, he came to a conclusion in disbelief. You little brat, are you trying to have your cake and eat it too? And one of the girls is my precious daughter, Lord Cthulhu, if I may be so bold, the only thing that can be compared to a girl is a beautiful flower, Perseus said seriously. Shut up, you shameless scoundrel with your sweet talk. I even thought you were a gentleman. Kutsu roared in fury. The sudden burst of rage shot straight into the sky, like the roar of a giant dragon, inspiring fear and attracting large numbers of werewolves to surround them from all directions. In the blink of an eye, the place was surrounded by countless hairy heads. Men, women, and children cautiously pointed and whispered among themselves. Perseus was nearly blown away by the roar, but he managed to steady himself and avoid losing face in front of so many wolves. Lord Cthulhu, please believe me, my heart is absolutely devoted to your daughter, and I have no intention of being negligent or disrespectful in the slightest, Perseus said sincerely. Whether that's true or not is irrelevant. What matters is that from the moment you dared to even entertain the thought of having your cake, and eat it too, you have no right to have any contact with my daughter. Kutsu pointed towards the door, his face filled with disgust. Get out of here before I change my mind. Otherwise, I'll chop you up and feed you to the dogs today. The wolves didn't recognize Perseus or know what had happened, but seeing how the chieftain treated him, their attitude would only be worse. They were all grinding their teeth and growling menacingly, ready to pounce on Perseus and tear him to pieces at the slightest provocation. Even so, Perseus remained unfazed, facing the malice of all the wolves head on. Why? Perseus asked, puzzled. As far as I know, in tribes like yours, strong men can have more than one wife. All the werewolves, including Kutsu, were stunned and then burst into laughter in unison. The smile contained surprise, mockery, ridicule, and an uncontrollable bloodlust. Cthulhu smiled, but this smile was more chilling than his previous angry and ferocious expression. Do you consider yourself a strong person? He asked seriously. I think I am, Perseus said earnestly. Kutsu nodded thoughtfully, seemingly observing carefully whether Perseus's words were true. The next second, without warning, he charged towards Perseus, his huge hand transforming into an incredibly sharp wolf claw, and slashed down viciously at Perseus's neck. If this claw strikes, even if Perseus is wearing full-on thick armor, he will die on the spot without a complete corpse. The two were actually very close, at such a short distance. Only those who could dodge this attack could barely earn Kutsu's approval. The strong. At this moment, he wouldn't care whether this kid was the man his daughter liked, or whether killing this kid would break his precious daughter's heart. Anyone who dares to provoke him like that to his face is long gone. The wolves revealed bloodthirsty, excited expressions. They were overjoyed to see their chieftain display such power. However, there was no bloodshed or carnage as one might have imagined. That strike, which shouldn't have missed. That arrogant and foolish human boy also disappeared from spot. Was that guy really too weak that he was crushed to ashes by that powerful aura alone? The clan leader is becoming more and more valiant. But before the wolves could even celebrate, they heard a child's terrified voice. Everyone look up in the sky. Everyone looked in the direction others were looking, their fanatical expressions frozen on their faces. Perseus hovered at least 20 or 30 meters in the air, looking down at them. Chapter 29, Another Magician. Seeing Perseus flying in the air, the pack of wolves were thrown into a state of inexplicable turmoil of fear. He can fly. He can actually fly. Is he a birdman? But I didn't see any wings. Perhaps he is actually a god? Some werewolves, their minds clouded by fear, were about to kneel before Perseus, but a roar pulled everyone back from their terror. You fools! That's nothing but magic. Magic? The werewolves were skeptical. Although they knew that some magic could make people fly, they hadn't heard the kid chant any spells. Suddenly, a person is flying into the air. What kind of magician can do that? These guys are just too inexperienced. Yes, that's magic. Wind magic activated instantly without any chanting. Perseus, standing in midair, looked up at Cthulhu, who was gazing up at him, and felt a lingering fear. That old man was really ruthless. Even though he had mentally prepared himself for any eventuality, he almost didn't react in time. I almost lost my life there. Perseus was a very self-aware man. He knew he would be beaten for saying those things, so he appeared nonchalant, but in reality, every nerve in his body was on edge. However, he was quite satisfied with the move he had just made. It was my first time using it, but I was quite skilled and it was stable. Although it can intimidate Kutu and a small number of elite werewolves, it can still have a deterrent effect by scaring the old, weak, sick, and disabled. However, he believed that even Cthulhu would be somewhat shocked. Perseus originally intended to play dumb to take advantage of the situation. It wasn't that he didn't want to show off his skills and attract the admiration of men and the love of women. Rather, he had always presented himself as a good-for-nothing, and suddenly becoming a genius would inevitably arouse suspicion from certain important figures, calling out the Dog Emperor. But today, in front of these demi-humans, he can no longer afford to be low-key. Ultimately, all living beings are drawn to the strong. Humans are. These demi-humans who rely on their formidable strength are even more so. Without sufficient strength, mere empty talk will never earn you the approval of these guys. Even if Luna likes him, he can't hold his head up in front of people like Kutu. Although he currently possesses only 1/5 of Ivice's strength, it is still a level that the younger generation can hardly hope to reach. What's even more remarkable is his enormous potential. With Kutu's keen eyesight, he wouldn't have missed this. Kuta laughed. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. It turns out you do have some confidence. Thank you for your mercy, Lord Kutu. Perseus smiled. This is not just polite talk. If Kutu goes all out, even if Ivia comes, she probably won't be able to withstand it. This old man recently killed a highly experienced 6th-tier archmage without sustaining any injuries himself. If we consider the strength levels of mages, Kutu definitely has the strength of a 7th-tier mage, already standing at the pinnacle of the world's powerful beings, who made the old monsters of the 8th and 9th tiers now only exist as unverifiable legends. As for those above the 9th rank, they're all beings who have entered the realm of gods. You don't need to be so polite. I'm not holding back because of you. Kuta didn't mince words. There are many factors that influence whether or not someone can hold back. For example, Luna and his people surrounding her. Furthermore, for him to go all out, it must be a life-or-death duel in which both sides are well prepared. The attack, just now, was practically a sneak attack. The other party was still a dull-witted young man. We need to go all out against this kind of guy. Otherwise, Kuta wouldn't need to stay in the Empire any longer. In any case, both sides were quite satisfied with the result. After hovering in the air for a while, Perseus landed smoothly, his expression normal, without even panting. To be able to wield wind magic so skillfully, you're top tier even among 5th-tier mages. To have achieved so much at such a young age, how come I've never heard of any magical genius like you in the Empire? Kutu scrutinized Perseus repeatedly, as if they were just meeting for the first time, his gaze serious. Is that even a question? Of course, his talent was just borrowed. The kind of loan where you don't have to pay it back. Since the owner himself suffered no loss, why bother targeting such a pitiful person? I only recently made a breakthrough myself, and what I just did was a small test of my skills, Perseus said calmly. Excellent, very good. Kutu pointed at him and nodded emphatically. You certainly have the right to call yourself a strong man. Thank you for your approval, Lord Cthulhu, Perseus asked. So, may we speak about Miss Luna? Kutu shook his head decisively and hummed softly. If your interpersonal relationships were clean, I might give you a chance to pursue my daughter, but you already have a lover, so don't be delusional. Don't think that just because you're a 5th-tier mage you can do whatever you want. There are 6th-tier archmages who have died at my hands. However, my feelings for Miss Luna are genuine. If you really like Luna that much, then go and break things off with that noble lady first before you come here. I'm sorry, that's impossible. Then my answer is the same as yours. Impossible, no apologies. Kuta frowned. I will not hand Luna over to a fickle man. She deserves her future husband's complete love, not to have to compete with other women for his affections. If you insist on making trouble, your only chance is to kill me and take her away. Perseus lowered his head. I understand Lord Kutu's meaning, but please